Many people, during the process of studying fate and destiny, often feel confused, or you might encounter obstacles, or even feel like you're being deceived. Actually, this is all because many of our fundamental concepts are, in fact, incorrect. For example, we often hear people say that fortune-telling is a kind of statistics, that fortune-telling is just big data. But is fortune-telling really statistics? In fact, if you ask a true expert in fate studies, and if they tell you this, there are usually only two reasons behind it. Therefore, when truly calculating fate, you have to incorporate a lot of different fields of knowledge, including statistics and some comprehensive knowledge of society in order to make accurate predictions. This allows for precise judgment and analysis. Recently, we've been discussing a series of basic concepts. Why is that? Because we feel that many people get confused during the process of learning about fate studies. Or you might encounter situations, or you might find yourself being deceived. Actually, it's all because many of our fundamental concepts are in fact incorrect. For example, we often hear people say that fortune-telling is just a kind of statistics. Fortune-telling? It's just big data. Is fortune-telling really statistics? In reality, if you actually ask a master of metaphysics, and if they tell you this, there are basically two reasons. The first reason is that they're explaining it to you in a way that's easier for you to understand. The second reason is they're not truly a real expert. In fact, someone who is truly skilled in the art of fate will not tell you that fate studies are a form of statistics. If fate studies were just statistics, and if statistics could really predict the future, then we wouldn't need to study fate at all. We could all just seriously study how Buffett operates in the stock market, and after accumulating his past trading experience, simply copy it to predict what he's going to do next. In class, we often mention to everyone that this kind of confusion in fate studies, for example, let's say there's a person who has 6 children, he gets married and has 6 kids. So what happens? After he passes away, from a theoretical perspective, under normal circumstances, his wife and his 6 children, on a total of 7 fate charts, you should be able to see on his wife's chart the year she becomes a widow. Each of the 6 children would also see, at their respective points in time, the loss of their father. So, on these 7 charts, you would simultaneously pinpoint a corresponding time. The only difference lies in the skill level of the fate analyst. The margin of error shouldn't be significant. Now, if this were just statistics, how could something like this possibly happen? Think about it. Maybe you could understand it for the wife since, well, fate has predetermined that at a certain age she would lose her husband. But what about the children? That makes things really awkward. Right, so this means that the creation of the natal chart depends on the exact moment he and his wife conceived, then calculating the time his wife became pregnant, and then the time she gave birth to the child. Every single step in this process can't have any mistakes. Everything has to be just right. His wife has to be able to conceive at exactly that time, and he has to be able to, and then the whole birthing process has to go smoothly, so that the child is born precisely at that moment, forming that natal chart. And on that chart, it shows that in that year, the father is supposed to die, and all 6 children have to have the same thing. Is it possible for statistics to account for something like this? Impossible. Absolutely impossible to achieve this. So, in fact, fate calculation is actually closer to a certain concept, which is there was a group of highly advanced predecessors who, through certain means, were able to understand the changes of the entire universe. They could foresee what kinds of situations would arise in the past and future during the different phases of the universe's changes, and by understanding this in advance, they could write out the entire script. Only then could they reach such a level. Otherwise, how could fate calculation possibly achieve something like this? For example, in matters or in fate studies, it can reveal, hey, what is the cause behind this person developing cancer? This isn't something that statistics alone could simply deduce. There are far too many examples like this. So fate studies, or so-called fortune-telling, absolutely cannot be equated with statistics. However, it's undeniable that it does need to use some aspects of statistics. So what parts involve statistics? For instance, let's say there's a person. He was born with a weak constitution and catches colds easily, and then he lives in the mountains. We know that now he's 80 years old and his organs resistance is also quite poor. We also know that when this video is released, it should still be summer. So we can also infer that in about another 7 months or so, a cold wave will probably come. In some parts of Taiwan, the temperature might drop below 5 degrees. So can we make a probabilistic prediction that this person, in about 6 or 7 months, he might encounter some major life obstacles or significant turning points that he can't get through? This is the basic concept of prediction. We know how long a period is, and that there are certain cyclical patterns. There are 4 seasons every year, and each month the moon waxes and wanes. Tides fluctuate as well. These are phenomena that have been observed and recorded. They are applied in metaphysics to correspond to the kinds of environments we might encounter, and at these times, they can indeed have an impact. So, within the entire comprehensive predictive system, statistical methods are indeed incorporated and actively used, but you absolutely cannot say that the study of fate or destiny is precisely the same as pure statistics. It's more akin to the intricate and complex process of meticulously building a sophisticated automobile or a large, robust ship. You have to take fluid mechanics into account, but you can't say that a vehicle is the same as fluid mechanics. That would be a very strange way of thinking. However, we often have this kind of notion, or some people who don't really understand might say, oh, that's just statistics. But in reality, that's not the case. Those are 2 completely different things. Therefore, when you're actually making predictions, you have to incorporate a lot of different fields of knowledge, including statistics, sociology, and so on, a whole range of interdisciplinary knowledge before you can actually do it. Alright, this precise judgment and analysis, that's also why in Zi Wei Astrology, you must have a very accurate natal chart and fortune line chart to examine things. You absolutely cannot rely solely on the natal chart. And you can't just analyze a single palace or a single star. You can't just look at one position. Because our entire life is shaped by the combination of all 12 palaces. So, you need to know what your innate tendencies are, what kind of environment you are currently encountering, and then, in reality, what kind of environment you are actually in order to make accurate predictions. Just like we often say, if someone has the Tai-yin star in their life palace, or the Tai-yin star in the children calamity palace, or the Tai-yin star in the wealth palace, then usually, as long as there aren't any unusual, inauspicious stars affecting their Tai-yin star, this person will generally be more willing. When it comes to finances, they tend to save, set aside funds, and make certain allocations. In Chinese communities, financial saving and allocation basically means buying property. But if you look at this in the context of Germany or Japan, is it reasonable? It might not necessarily be. Look at how low housing prices are in Japan now, and how heavy the property taxes are in Germany and other Northern European countries. So, can you really consider buying property there as a way to store wealth? Not entirely. But in Chinese communities, because of the environment, things are different. So, that's why we often hear many fortune tellers say, oh, you have a Tai-yin fate, so you should do this and that. But in reality, you can't judge things like that, because we have to understand what kind of environment it's in. Or, for example, someone's natal chart is very strong, but their fortune line for children or property is very poor. If you still tell them to buy a house at that time, aren't you just setting them up for failure? Because at that time, their luck for buying a house happens to be bad. So it's not just statistics. Also, many people often mention that this is why, when you go for a fortune telling, the fortune teller is very accurate about your past, but not about your future. The main reason is that talking about the past is accurate. Because in fact, it's very difficult for people to change their own fate. The situations we encounter in life are a result of our personality combined with our environment, which makes it very hard for people to change their own character. It's very hard for a person to suddenly change from being pessimistic to being optimistic. So we tend to face our life circumstances according to our own personality. And this is very difficult to change unless there is a tremendous force involved. Otherwise, even if you consult 10 different fortune tellers, your luck will probably still be the same. In this situation, of course, when a fortune teller reads your past, they are usually accurate. Because if you're sitting here today, it must be because you have some kind of problem in your life. So as long as they talk about your past, they'll know what issues you faced. But why might predictions about the future be inaccurate? It's because in the future, you might change your life due to their influence. And as you grow and your life experiences change, the younger you are, the more likely you are to be influenced or controlled by your innate personality. But as you gain more life experience, you might learn how to make adjustments. That way, you might be able to choose a different path in life. So, when we talk about whether the accuracy rate of predictions will decrease in the future, this is the reason why. This is also why, as fortune tellers or enthusiasts of metaphysics, we always emphasize that we can't just stay in an ivory tower. We need to understand more about politics, economics, society, international affairs, and cultural environments. Only then can we conduct thorough analyses and make accurate judgments. So, is fortune telling accurate? Fortune telling will definitely be accurate as long as you use good analysis and judgment, but fortune telling is absolutely not fate. It's statistics, because after all, statistics can't possibly calculate the exact moment you and your wife are in bed together. That very moment just happens to determine, on your chart, which year you will pass away. This is something that statistics simply cannot do. Thank you, everyone.